Welcome back to the Empower podcast, Coffee and Clarity, Preventing Substance Misuse. I'm Emily.
And I'm Audrina, and today we're going to be talking to
Louise Figueroa
and Annette Larson about alcohol and holiday safety.
Annette is the South Central Towards Zero Deaths Regional Coordinator, and Louise is the Martin County Safe Roads Coalition Coordinator. He was also recently awarded the TZD Education Star Award.
Will each of you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, so I'm Annette Larson. I cover the South Central region, so if you're familiar with the MnDOT District 7, I cover the 13 counties in southern Minnesota. I have been doing this role since 2014, and I live up around the Mankato area.
Louise Figueroa. I've been working for the Martin County Sheriff's Office since August of 2019. I took over TZD working with Annette, I believe, in 2021. And just been working with that, and now I'm part of the K-9 unit here in Martin County as well.
Alrighty, to start us off, what does the TZD Coalition aim to do to keep us safe during holidays, especially when it comes to alcohol?
That's a great question. So really what our Towards Zero Deaths Coalition is trying to do is to create safer roadways for everyone. And so part of that is doing education and outreach in regards to all of the behaviors that we talk about when we look at TZD. And one of those is impairment. And so really focusing on making sure that people are planning ahead for the holiday season and making that choice to have a designated driver or a safe place to stay.
Annette, as the South Central Minnesota TZD Coordinator, what are some of the specific challenges and things we need to be careful of on the road during the holiday season?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different things that we think about when we talk about the holiday season. So we have to think about, usually in December, it's winter, the roads may be bad, and so speed is a factor. And so we want to make sure that during the winter time that you are adjusting your speeds accordingly and driving appropriately and giving yourself plenty of time for travel. We also know that distracted driving is another area of concern when people get out on the roadways. We think about distraction as far as visual, so your eyes off the road, cognitive, so lost in thought, thinking about things. I've got to get all of my holiday shopping done, or I've got to get ready for the family to come over. And then physical, taking those hands off the wheel. So people are probably rushing around, getting ready for Christmas, taking those hands off the wheel. Maybe they have to stop and get something at the fast food restaurant to make it through their day. And so now they're driving down the roadway with only one hand maybe on the steering wheel, which is not also safe. And then drowsy driving is another thing that we think about. And so a lot of people are running around, kind of burning that candle at both ends. And so drowsy driving can become a big problem. And so the only thing that can help that is sleep, of course. And then why we're here tonight is to talk about impairment. So just think about this. If you feel different, you drive different. And so that's one way to think about it. So impairment is impairment no matter what substance you're using.
Louise, as deputy with Martin County's Sheriff's Department, what are some common problems you see with alcohol-related incidents during the holidays?
Piggybacking off on that there, everything she spoke about, the drowsiness, driving with one hand, you're already distracted. Now we're seeing individuals adding that alcohol consumption on top of that. And especially within the holidays, families gathering around, friends are coming back. With our youth, we got college students coming back, and all these high school kids are out, and some of them just resort to drinking or having a party, or college students going to the bar. Now, some of them, they don't sleep very well because they're probably gaming at night for quite a long period of time. So now they're drowsy, they're going to the bar, they're consuming alcohol, and they're not thinking right. Like Annette mentioned, it's an issue that keeps coming up over and over again each holiday that we're seeing. So we have individuals going to the bar, they're drinking. Now at the end of the night, they got to find a way to get a ride home, or how to get home, or which one of their friends is driving. So we see them getting behind the wheel. They begin to drive. Now they have the distractions of their phone, distraction of their occupants. Some of their friends may be in there. Obviously, once you consume alcohol, you can become a little rowdy, or you might just be a mellow one. But most of the time, we see all the rowdy groups get together, and that's how they're trying to get home. One friend driving who's already impaired. And as they're going down the roadway, there's always going to be a DJ that's not putting the favorite song on there. So we have someone that's distracted. Now he's probably arguing with his friends. He's impaired. Winter's around. We have the slippery roadways. They're probably trying to go the speed limit because that's what's posted, but probably not what they should be driving at. So we run into those issues where they get together, they're just consuming too much alcohol and they're making bad decisions. Not only does it roll onto our roadways, it rolls into all sorts of different situations that we as law enforcement run into. A lot of domestics. Then typically with domestics, we have individuals who are impaired who decide to try and get away from the issue, but they decide to drive away from there. And now that they're impaired, they're going on some roadways that they shouldn't be on, putting themselves in harm's way along with other individuals on the roadways.
Annette, could you tell us some facts or trends about accidents and deaths caused by drunk driving during the holidays in our area?
Yeah, so I can talk specifically for the state of Minnesota. So from 2018 to 2022, we had 50 people die in drunk driving related crashes from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. And that there were more than 11,000 DWIs during that same time period. So alcohol-related crashes not only take lives, but they change them forever. And so alcohol-related crashes, on average, we have about 341 serious injuries that occur from drunk driving crashes each year.
What has the TZD done to encourage responsible drinking and safe driving during the holiday celebrations?
So with responsible drinking and driving, so Annette, with our group, we put together an Arrive Alive program is what we're calling it. We work with Fast Ride Share, in which we find a sponsor to help pay for those rides. Fast Ride Share covers half of it. Our sponsor would cover the other one. What they do is they would be on call technically what we would say like 7:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. where they're providing free rides to individuals who are at the bars or at family members' house who are too impaired to drive themselves home. So what they do is they just call this number, mention, hey, we're calling for the Arrive Alive program, and the drivers will go pick them up, take them to their next destination, which we have a limit. It's to a residence, not to, hey, take me to this from this bar to this bar. We mark it down like it's going to be your ride home to where your final destination is going to be for the night.
Louise, can you tell us how law enforcement works with TZD to make sure people follow traffic rules and stay safe during the holidays?
So the way we work with TZD is the state offers a Safe Roads program, which is basing off TZD. So what we do is we'll apply for grants. They'll give us a budgeted amount of money for us to put additional officers on the roadways. This helps just because during our normal shift, not only do we have to cover any traffic law violations, we have to cover other calls as well. So sometimes we can't always be there to try and see if there's any impaired drivers out on the roadway. So with these grants, it helps us put an additional officer or two on the roadways who just focus on strictly traffic violations. We have months that go impairment, other months go seatbelt, or even hands-free violations. So it's a great thing that the state puts on for us and allows us to have the ability to put additional officers out there, especially during these holiday times, because that's when we see an increased amount of impaired drivers on the roadways.
Annette, what are some good ways to teach people about the dangers of drinking and driving?
Well, that's a really great question. That's something that our Safe Roads Coalition really tries to get out into the community and provide that education and outreach. And so we have tools that are available, whether it be a local high school or a work site that would like us to come in and do presentations. Some of the tools that we have are our fatal vision goggles, where we put them on. They show different levels of impairment. We can put that individual on what we call a pedal cart and have them drive through a course. We also have some other new equipment that's available for alcohol as well. Recently, we've obtained some cannabis goggles to kind of help us provide that education on the effects that cannabis may have. And we've also partnered with your coalition as well to do some education within the county.
Louise, could you talk about punishments and legal consequences of driving while drunk?
Yeah, punishments, obviously with the violation of any driving under the influence laws. Once we stop someone and we believe they're under the influence, our process would be to bring them into the law enforcement center. They'd be placed under arrest at that moment. We'll get up there, we'll conduct a breath test advisory form in the law enforcement center, which gives us an accurate concentration on their alcohol levels. And from there, that would be the deciding factor on which laws they violated. If it's our legal limit in Minnesota is a .08, so once you hit that limit or you're above it, you're running to a 4th degree DWI. the thing with Minnesota is no matter the degree of DWI that you have or issued, your license is immediately revoked at that moment. So not only is your license revoked now, you got to look at court dates. If you want your license back or an opportunity to have it and be able to drive due to work, now you're looking at having a breathalyzer in your vehicle to be able to start it and be able to get to where you're going. But that's obviously going to be on a cost of the individual himself who was drinking and driving. Now you're looking at probation violations, fines, insurance that's going up. So it doesn't just roll with the law enforcement side of the violations that you're doing. It's going to roll over to your personal side where you got to pay lawyers, you got to do all your insurance stuff. Now you got all these fees that the court's going to give you as well. So there's many punishments and legal aspects that they have to look at.
Annette, does TZD have any programs or campaigns that encourage having a designated driver or using other transportation options?
Yeah, so the Martin County Coalition has the Arrive Alive program that we've offered during New Year's Eve and then also during the county fair. And so we really are encouraging people to utilize that service. If they're not thinking about that service, sometimes it's providing that education to make sure that people are aware of, planning ahead. And so I'm planning on going out, so let's figure out who's going to be the designated driver this evening. And they're the ones that will be responsible for getting us all home safely. If you're going to a friend's location to have that celebration, maybe it's you allow all your friends to stay the night so that you're not putting them out at risk. And then probably the other thing that we really stress is the importance of wearing that seatbelt. And so if you're out and about, even if you're not consuming, you never know what that other person might be doing. And so that seatbelt is your best defense in making sure that you're safe.
Louise, from your experience, what advice would you give to people and families to make sure they stay safe with alcohol and driving during the holidays?
The advice that I could give is if you're going to consume alcohol, know your limit. A lot of individuals, they like to try and keep up with their friends or keep up with family. A lot of things come with peer pressure as well. Some individuals have reached their limit and they don't want to consume more, but then they get told that they have to or they should. So now you're looking at someone that's consuming more than what they should. All I can say is you don't have to drink to have a good time. You could definitely have a good time sober. And if you do drink, just know your limit. Know what your buddy's limit is. And if you see someone that's getting out of hand or you see them consuming too much and they shouldn't be, don't be afraid to stop them.
Annette, how can local businesses, bars, and restaurants help promote safety by serving alcohol responsibly?
That's a great question. So in Martin County, we have a program that's called Responsible Beverage Server Training. And so we offer that program to local establishments to make sure that they know kind of what their responsibilities are as a server, and then be able to look for those signs to make sure that they're not over-serving somebody, to be able to tell whether or not that person is impaired. And then the other thing that bars and local establishments can do is if they see somebody that's impaired, say something. So don't let them get in their car and drive home. Find them a way to get home safely. So it's calling that taxi cab, contacting their family or friends, helping them make sure that they're making a good choice to get home safely.
Going off of Annette's question that she was asked there, we have seen some positive sides of this as well. A couple weeks ago, I actually spoke to a bar who had this same situation where an individual seemed like he shouldn't be consuming the alcohol that they were giving him. So a couple hours prior to him leaving, they actually started cutting back on the amount of alcohol they were serving him. So cutting a shot to half a shot to moving him onto water and slowly trying to get him the liquids that he needs to try and sober up and even to try and find him a ride home and stuff. So we have seen our responsible beverage server trainings actually take great effect to the local establishments that have used it.
Louise, how do sober checkpoints and police presence help stop drunk driving during the holidays?
So since I've been working, we don't really do many sober checkpoints or any at all in the state of Minnesota. But what we do a lot of is police presence around bars, especially on the holidays. So what we'll do is we'll drive, make sure that we're driving slowly. That way individuals do see us and do see that we're around. Martin County itself, it's a little difficult to try and get to each bar in a decent time, especially during closing time. But But either way, our deputies try and make their presence at each bar. Just drive slowly past there. People are always looking out the window. If one person sees us, you can guarantee that everyone knows that we're there. Some bars, they're not too big of fans of this because they may think that it's hindering their business. But if that's what we have to do to make people know that we're out there, we want them to see us and that we want them to actually drive home safe. If you want to drink, go and drink, but just don't put anyone else's life at risk.
Annette, are there any success stories or cool things TZD has done to make our roads safer during the holidays?
That's a great question. So I would say by far, we've kind of already touched on it, but that Arrive Alive program has been a huge success here in Martin County as well as other communities across the state of Minnesota. So it's taking those individuals that may have chosen to get in their car and drive home and encouraging them to make that the smart choice and get that the sober ride home. So,
Louise, what makes it difficult for law enforcement to catch drunk drivers during the holidays?
Some things that could make it difficult, obviously, is if you're just working your regular shift on roadway, you get pulled off to other calls. Some calls can take a couple hours, or say you get dispatched somewhere right near bar closing time. There's really no way you can be there to try and make sure that everyone's making responsible decisions. As well with if we do get some informational calls about individuals that are driving drunk, we can have that information. We can know that they're drunk, but yet we still have to look for that driving conduct from that individual. We got to see a violation to be able to further our investigation on that impaired driver. I don't really deem it as a difficult part of it. It's more of a trying to align all our Legos up, as I should say. I got kids, so. But we want to get all our pieces in order before we move further. We have to have a reason to expand each thing that we do.
Annette, why is it important for different groups to work together to achieve TZD's goals during the holidays?
Yeah, so the ultimate goal of the Towards Zero Deaths program is to achieve 0 fatalities on our roadways and 0 serious injuries. And so law enforcement, EMS, education, engineering, we can't do that alone. We need everyone's help to help us achieve that ultimate vision and mission of 0 fatalities.
In the end, it doesn't just come down to those groups that Annette mentioned. It comes down to our communities as well. Our local bar establishments that can practice those same things as well with us. You know, if we all can work together and we could all pass the same message, I think we'd have great success in what we're trying to do.
Finally, what tips or resources can you share to help everyone stay safe and make responsible choices with alcohol during the holidays?
That's a great question. So it all comes down to choice. So again, like we've talked about, planning ahead. So if you know that you're going to a celebration, a holiday where you may be consuming alcohol or other products, because remember we talked about is impaired no matter what the substance is, plan for that safe ride home. So who is going to be that designated driver? Don't sit at the bar and say, well, I've had the least amount, so I think I'm good to drive. Make the plan. That designated driver is somebody who's not having any alcohol at all. Is taking that fast ride cab service home, that alternating transportation, or staying at the location of the location that you're gathering. And then the other thing that you can do is you can offer to pick somebody up. So if you know a family member or a friend is going out, you're choosing to stay home. If they need a ride, come at the end of the night, go pick them up. Do that. And then the other thing to think about is medications. So sometimes medications that we are prescribed can cause impairment, and so especially if you mix them with alcohol. So think about that as you're going out and celebrating over the holiday season. Have that conversation with your doctor and your pharmacist about any type of interaction that those medications might have. And then we talked about buckling up and how important that is. That's your best defense if you're involved in a crash for whatever reason, whether it's an impaired driver, a distracted driver, drowsy driving. So buckle up. And then if you see something, say something. So if you see that individual who's impaired on the roadway, make that phone call to 911. And those deputies, State Patrol, the local PDs, they can find that individual and get them off the roadway.
Yeah, we as law enforcement, it's not something that we want to do. We don't want to bring any of these law enforcement violations upon someone or make them deal with it. But unfortunately, a lot of individuals put themselves in those circumstances where we can't just turn a blind eye. You're putting yourself in harm's way along with other individuals that are on the roadway. There's a lot of families that travel around these holiday times, so there's no reason for an individual to consume alcohol and think they can go out there and be invincible and they can drive because they're perfect at it. No one's perfect at it, and these families don't deserve any of that. Along with what can help these individuals during the holidays, Arrive Alive. Use Arrive Alive. We bring it to you for a reason. We have it out there for you, not for us. It's for you to get home safe, get to your family safe, and help everyone stay safe on these roadways.
Yeah, like I talked about, our ultimate goal is 0 fatalities. We can't do it alone, and we need your help.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to us, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.